Dhawal Selarka.
For Travis, I think, come on. So I had a kid during the pandemic.
Yay.
Thank you. That usually doesn't get a lot of applause. Thank you for verifying. I think a lot of parents think this, but I generally think my daughter is actually, brighter than she is for her age. Like, she's hitting a lot of her milestones ahead of time, like she hit her terrible twos at 18 months. So, one of the first things you realize when you have a kid, you learn how smart they are, right? Because for the first couple of years, they can't really talk. The only way they can get your attention is by crying. So you can really see in that first year, you can see them experimenting with their pitch and tone, trying to find the perfect cry that will make you want to kill yourself. Backfires if you have postpartum, though. So. You moms love that joke. You're like, it's funny because it's true. And I assume they go to therapy or something. One of the things, though, when you have a kid is, at least for me, especially now that I have a daughter, is I'm really attentive to just creeps in general, creepy dudes. And I learned that Jared Leto is a super big creep. You guys hear about this? Jared Leto, he essentially runs a fucking cult. And yeah, right? And he takes these teenagers to the island where he fucks them. And I'm telling this to a friend that I hadn't seen before the pandemic, before I had a kid. And essentially telling him that Jared Leto's a pedophile, and he stops me. He's like, "Listen, I heard about this, and it's technically incorrect to call Jared Leto a pedophile, right? Because he's sleeping with teenagers. That makes him a febophile. He's attracted to children who are past puberty. That's in contrast to pedophiles who are into children who are prepubescent, and that's in contrast to hebophiles, who are attracted to children in the midst of puberty." And while he's talking, I realize immediately that I do not want this man anywhere near my daughter. I mean, my daughter's only 2, but it feels like a bad parenting move to put your kid in the presence of someone who, for no professional reason, is very well versed on the levels of child fucking. But when he asks if they're on the spectrum, he's not talking about autism. Police, he's right there. Something else I'm concerned about these days is white supremacy. Not because I'm necessarily scared of it, I just don't understand it. Considering what they believe, I don't really understand the solutions they're into. For instance, a big white supremacist belief is the classic anti-Semitic trope that Jews control everything, right? But if someone told you that, Jews control everything, they control all business, the only people who are rich are Jews or those connected to Jews, wouldn't your first thought be, fuck, I gotta make some Jewish friends? Right? Imagine we did that in comedy, right? Bookers, people who book us for the acts. Imagine if someone told you, bookers control all the business. You're the only people who are rich are bookers or those close to bookers. My first thought probably would have been, well, I guess I gotta gas those fuckers. I just want to be clear, it's still very anti-Semitic to make friends with Jewish folks because you think they're going to bring you prosperity and riches. But of all potential solutions, not the worst one. I can make that joke because I have Jewish friends. And none of them are here, so I'm safe. Having been born and raised in Canada, I'm quite lucky to have not actually encountered lots of overt racism. So whenever it does happen, it really does take me by surprise. When I first moved to Ottawa a few years ago before the pandemic, I got on a bus, right? And before I continue the story, the key thing to understand about me is I'm a pussy. So when I got on the bus, I feel someone kicking my seat behind me, and I'm like, well, I guess he's having a seizure. I'm not going to turn around to verify. But after 15 minutes, I decide to grow some balls, and I turn around, and I'm like, can you please stop kicking my seat, please? And what I see is not a man having a seizure, but this bald white dude looking at me with the most intense hatred I've ever seen. and he says, "Why don't you fucking make me, you sand N-word?" And my first thought was, well, that's not the right slur for Indian people. Right? Because I know, like, racists are not the most educated of folks, but if you're going to use a racist slur, use the right one. I think we can all agree on that. You know what I mean? So I told him, and he didn't like that. Long story short, if there's anything a racist hates more than a person of color, it's being corrected by a Paki. So,